who's better. But we'll let the action decide that as we hop into Four Lakes to open up with a mirror matchup between PuppyPaw and Beastyqt.
Indeed, spawning in on the southern part of the map. Oh, Core, you gotta collapse the thing is on the top. Yeah, that's right. We got a professional observer. Okay, there we go. Attempt number two.
Rigged. Oh, so Beasty wins. Great. Now they know. Now they know we have a script, Lidakor. Oh, damn it.
Okay, attempt number two. So, ladies and gentlemen, scores also.
Now you realize what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. It took me some time to realize as well that, like, you know, the big 1 and 2 in the middle of the screen doesn't tell you the story. We're gonna get you set up with the scores in a second. Okay, there we go.
Like, I wouldn't. Yeah, I'd never trust these scores, folks. Like, it's actually okay. I'm gonna like give you the leak from behind the scenes. It's an ingenious ploy by us to make sure that you don't hoard too many channel points by you now betting them based on that score and then possibly losing all your points. So, yeah, betters beware.
All right. I guess we gotta restart that intro out there because now we have everything set up for the game.
So here we go, folks. We're going hopping in. We got PuppyPaw playing in the red, Beasty in the blue, but both of them playing as the Holy Roman Empire. But there can be only one emperor. Let's see who's going to be crowned so in Four Lakes.
It's interesting to see that HRE, ever since we started using custom maps, became one of the most popular civilizations to be used. It is very frequently employed on this map as well, very frequently employed on Frisian marshes, because in many ways, HRE is your economy civilization. When you look at the French, you say, okay, this is mostly a cavalry-focused civ. When you look at the, let's say, English, you say, okay, it's an archer, infantry-focused civilization. When you look at the HRE, you say, hey, this is an economy-focused civilization with all the economy boosts that they're getting. And in many ways, that's actually an interesting aspect of this one, because if you don't know what type of strategy you want to play, or if you haven't figured out how to play, let's say, Delhi on these maps, then you just pick a civilization with strong economy because, well, strong economy is something that you can leverage very easily. In many ways, it's actually similar to how French was always the civ pick in the first days of AoE 4, because it was very simple and straightforward, right? Like, you passively get your own bonuses, like all your bonuses, and you're getting something very similar here with the HRE. You get, like, no matter what you do, you're going to get your key bonuses with this civilization, as compared to some other civs, with which you probably would have to think a little bit more when it comes to how you employ those specific bonuses on new maps like these.
I think it's a lot more than that, though. It's the new build for the HRE, it's the Burgrave, because he says, like, you got a strong eco, but it's like, you need to be able to do some of that eco. And the cool thing with the HRE is they reach Castle Age, and it's like, what's that coming over the hill? It is a monster, and there's a lot of them. And that's the power of the man-at-arms push. We've seen it dominate so many players. You get up to, like, 20, 25 of these meaty boys diving in, and the best part is, like, they're so slow. They're so fat. They're so slow. They, one, can't die, but two, can't kill anything. But it doesn't matter that they don't kill anything because nothing is working in the base. It's what makes it so powerful. Off the back of that, another cool detail to consider here, HRE's best performing map on the ladders is Mongolian Heights. They are the best performing civ there at a 60% win rate with the highest quantities of games played. Notice an important detail about this tournament. We removed Mongolian Heights. So all those hours of HRE had to go somewhere. Made sense it was going to be going to those custom maps.
Yeah, that's a great point that you bring up, and as you can see, Beastyqt is pulling a Dark Age Spearman out here with the HRE, not something that you see every day on the common built-in maps of the game, trying to burn down that dock. Response from PuppyPaw is going to be a tower, and he has already daisy-chained that dock in with the emergency repairs. You can see the purpose of that house out there is to make sure that he can have emergency repairs, so Beastyqt here, he should never be able to burn this dock down with 2 scouts and 1 spearman. And that basically means that this barracks investment out here isn't really going to pay off at the beginning.
Instead, it's going to slow him down. I wouldn't be surprised if we see PuppyPaw in this situation maybe consider just like doubling down the amount of fishing boats that he's pushing. If he doesn't, he'll at least be able to tech up fast. You can already see it in the resources. Like, he's notably ahead. Like, Beasty, you have to do the maths on what he just spent here. 150 wood for the racks, and then 80 resources per spearman. So overall, he spent quite a hefty 470 resources on this.
Yeah, that's a big investment, especially when you're not getting anything out of it. So it's not even like you can force a villager to spend time and resources on repairing it, because emergency repairs is completely free and it offsets basically all the damage that you have been working for in the last 1 or 2 minutes. I actually wonder if the dock is now daisy chained in, because there's a new house being built in there, but yeah, it is now accessible. Obviously, for PuppyPaw, he will wait as long as possible here. He actually pops emergency repairs over here as the units retreat. I guess he just wants to repair it and then, you know, start the cooldown.
He's OCD. You know,
Yep.
he's one of those people. Like you know, those people that play like an FPS and they like shoot one bullet and reload. That's just PuppyPaw right now. And it doesn't matter because that many spearmen are never going to get that dock low enough. They can burn it in 45 seconds. Remember, also by the way, in that 45 seconds, only 25 of it there isn't repairs going on because the emergency repairs last 20 seconds. There's 150 per second. Yeah, like 5 naked dudes with torches aren't taking that out any day of the week.
Yeah, and the thing is that when you pop emergency repairs like that, as Beasty is pulling back, you start that cooldown. So you will heal back up to full HP, and your cooldown is almost done, as you see. So that's part of the reasons why PuppyPaw pulled it already. This being said, feudal age times look pretty comparable for the two players. Arcane Chapel spots essentially identical. We gotta say that this map spawn here is relatively even, I would say. Relics, you can debate that a little bit, but I think those are mostly comparable as well, because if you take a look at the base of, let's say, PuppyPaw, he's got like one very safe relic. He has to work a little bit more for relics, maybe, but Beasty, most of the relics close to his base are not as safe as the one at the back of PuppyPaw's base. Probably a little favoring Beasty when it comes to relics. Everything else seems very similar on this map, I think.
It's actually a fairly big detail how much it favors Beasty because this relic location is on his side of the stealth forest, so he shouldn't have this risk associated going for it, whereas PuppyPaw has to control vision in there, or he could be running into anything. Even when we look outside that, the only thing that's making it okay for PuppyPaw is we just noticed that north side that there is a ridge line that you can run along the coast of. If it wasn't for that, I'd once again heavily favor Beasty here because he'd have a choke point in the north relic that he'd be able to hold.
Yeah, like, honestly, if there wasn't the possibility to run around that ridge on the shoreline, it would be very difficult for PuppyPaw. Indeed, this map definitely favors Beasty to a certain extent. We'll see how big of a factor his relic will be, though, because right now, with the level of aggression going off, it's very possible we're going to see Burgrave Palace from at least one player, possibly even two. And Feudal Age Men-at-Arms also making an appearance over here. Puppy going super aggressive with Men-at-Arms and Horsemen. The target, obviously, being that one dock that Beasty has to the south of his base.
This is a very different approach, and it's pretty cool as well, because if you actually stack up the infrastructure, you don't necessarily need Burgrave when you arrive in Castle. And that's what PuppyPaw is now trying to do. He's going to try to optimize the use of the Man-at-Arms, bulk up to maybe like 10 max, and then he should be able to get comparative time into that Beastie long-term. But he won't necessarily need that same burden of, if I don't have Burgrave, I can't fight back, because he's already going to have a sizable force that scales. That's the difference here. The Spearmen don't really benefit much from Castle. The Man-at-Arms benefit plenty. Getting access to the two-handed, the heavy maces, and also upgrading their health and their damage mitigation substantially once they make it up in Castle. And that is exactly why PuppyPaw does go for the Regnates, because he's already building a standing army.
And the thing is that he's beating Beasty to Castle Age over here, and as you said, he's already building a standing army, which means that he could potentially just secure that central relic for himself, offsetting the fact that it is on the other side of the stealth forest, so it would be difficult to take if this game goes a little longer. This being said, Beasty is actually adding a galley on his spawn. You have mentioned before this set that Kazva snuck a dock on him in the previous set that they've played, and Beasty ended up losing that game. So it looks like he's a little paranoid about that.
Yeah, it seems like he's kind of imagining the boogeyman that just doesn't exist here. It's kind of crazy, actually, because you have to weigh up the value of putting a galley versus just setting up some walls along the coast. I think the reason he's paranoid about this is because if you look near the relic on the south side, I believe there's a horseman out there from PuppyPaw, but that horseman isn't there to sneak a dock. He's simply there to guard the relics and keep them away from you, which is exactly what he's going to do. Long enough that it looks like the prelate is going to make it out. Might struggle to make it back, though.
Yeah, that Spearman, that is going to discourage the horseman from fighting over here, but the prelate actually might sneak through here because you have a bit of a stealth forest there. That stealth forest might be enough to yoink it. Oh yeah, let's go.
He's yoinking them all. He's yoinking all of them. He already took the one in front of the stealth forest. He's dragging this one back. He's going for the northern one as well. And he still has the reserve one in his base. PuppyPaw is going greedy for 4 relics this game. And it looks like he's damn well going to get it.
And the thing is that going for 4 relics over here ensures that there is no way that Beasty can get the maximum value out of his own Regnitz Cathedral. If I'm correct, he also went Regnitz Cathedral himself, but I assume Beasty himself didn't expect PuppyPaw to be this swift when it comes to picking up the relics. Unless this relic gets picked off, or unless that prelate gets picked off carrying the relic, that is only going to be a maximum of 1 relic for Beasty, if any.
Wait, where's Beasty? Does Beasty even know? I don't think he knows. The Wololo blocking out the chase. He will get out of range. Scout just about makes it as well. He's trying to deny these, but even if he kills the prelates now, look at how close all these relics are going to be to PuppyPaw's base. He's already banked one, 2 more still on the way home. Maybe they both get blocked initially, but he could easily build prelates and move out to get them anyway.
Yeah, the thing is that you don't have to bring them all the way to the Ragnitz Cathedral in the first place. You just have to make sure that it's so close to your base that you can yoink them anytime. And behind this, you see the men-at-arms are just rampaging the base of Beastyqt over here. Even diving under the town center. Hello, Beasty. Beasty. Okay, now he noticed that that's one villager down, though.
And although that's going to be 2 prelates, maybe 3 overall down, like PuppyPaw doesn't care, he can afford it. Notice that BC still hasn't taken the safe relic because of these man-at-arms. He actually tried to loop north, ended up getting sniped on his prelate anyway. PuppyPaw already has 2 banked, is going to bring a 3rd back, and also that northern one is right next to his base anyway. So this will be 4 relics versus 1, and BC still hasn't even grabbed that one safe one.
And the thing is that it's not just about the fact that you will have more relics, it's also the timing of this. You see, PuppyPaw already has 2 relics garrisoned in here, Beasty yet to garrison 1. So if, let's say, there is a 1-minute differential between you garrison those relics, that's already going to result in, like, let's say, 300, 400 amount of gold in the favor of PuppyPaw as an extra. Obviously, it depends on how many relics he has had garrisoned for that given time, but it's not just about the fact, it's also about the fact that you're already missing out on hundreds of gold worth of relic gold income here just by having those delayed. Great job here by PuppyPaw delaying that, and you see, if you look at the resource income per minute, it's already like 900 per minute for PuppyPaw. For Beasty, it's at like 700, but I think Beasty is super heavy on that gold mining right now, so most of that is coming from there.
And cool detail there, PuppyPaw did build a monastery in the end, so he's not going to lose out on villager production additionally from building more prelates. This is actually pretty beneficial. If you get 4 relics, like, you will eventually get towards Tithe Barns, because now PuppyPaw's goal is to unlock Imperial, because he'll be able to do it so much quicker than Beasty. But if he wants to keep that true, he does now need to pile on the pressure, because Beasty has led up aggression, and this should be suspicious to PuppyPaw. We can see clearly what Beasty's doing. He's saving for the Imperial timing himself.
And it makes some sense, right? You're down by the relics. You can't really make up for that unless you have a massive eco power spike, and you can get that with the Pass of Schwabia. The question is, how is PuppyPaw going to respond to this? Because if PuppyPaw feels like this is a thing, then PuppyPaw can catch up really fast with Imperial. Like, his relic gold income is spectacular. So it's not going to take a lot of time for PuppyPaw to catch up in Imperial if he gets the feeling that Beasty is working towards that. But Beasty is going to have the upper hand going into Imperial, and there is the sneaky dog. Ultimately, that galley investment might pay off, and we have to keep something very important in mind. Now you have Patrol feature in Age of Empires 4. It's something that sort of gets forgotten about because we don't see a lot of water maps, but Patrol as a feature for those ships is really important on maps like these. Back in the release version of the game, you didn't have Patrol, so you couldn't just automatically set your ship to patrol the shoreline and catch those villagers or the docks, but it's not picking up the villager.
No, it's a problem. Yeah, it's a problem. This is actually where it works against you, because it's just automatic. He's never checking on it. So instead of attacking the villager, it's attacking the dock being built up. This will be constructed. He moves in, finally realizing what's happening. But while that's happening, in BC's base, the dive comes through. He knows about it. He knows the timing. The scout got round the back, and now he moves in with the knight. This is the first wave, though, Lidakor. He's got a second wave that's marching across the field. It's going to take time to arrive, and it looks like it might be enough time for BC to get this up. And the fact that he denies that dock from going up means he will have the food required to fuel this economical boom.
But what's the price on this one? You lost so many villagers building it. You will make up for that loss here for Beasty, of course.
Yes.
But honestly, I think it's important. Like, genuinely, I think it's important because you lost a bunch, which offsets your early Imperial Age timing as compared to PuppyPaw. You will have to make up for those losses, which buys time for PuppyPaw to reach Imperial himself. So Beasty, he's up to Imperial. Ecos are even for the time being, but this is getting concerning for him because he's about to get overrun, not just with Knights, but also Landsknechte.
Something to keep in mind, though, is that BC now can get those tech upgrades. And, you know, although he didn't get a crap ton of gold, he was hard on the gold vein, and he also is still getting some passive gold, so he will be able to afford 1 or 2 of those elite ups. But PuppyPaw quickly transitions, built up so much gold in reserve, was able to instantly blitz forward into Palace of Swabi himself, and the difference is no pressure coming his way. And remember, this gold differential is huge in this game. It's 800 gold per minute versus 300 gold per minute. It feels bigger than that for BC, though, because he wanted 2 relics and yet could never get them.
And look at the additional gold mines that Beasty has. Beasty can't even make up for it. Look at the gold mines.
Moving in now. I know, he's stuck in here. And that's exactly why PuppyPaw keeps diving this side, because he needs to move north from here. He's got 3 veins that are out in kind of no man's land. Even the one on the west side, next to the border of the map, feels threatening for Beastyqt to jump onto due to the non-stop raids from these knights.
Beastyqt is trying to wall himself up, play for the long game over here, but as you said, he has a really bad gold income right now. He's living off only the relics, finally moving out for that gold mine out there as the pressure is going to get a little smaller from PuppyPaw. But PuppyPaw now reaches Imperial, he's down by 7 eco, but let's keep in mind, a long game here massively favors PuppyPaw because he's sitting on 4 relics, and I guess Tithe Barns is something that he's going to prioritize very heavily here as an upgrade.
All the upgrades, because he can afford it. That's the difference here. It's like PuppyPaw, because he's got so much passive gold trickling in, each minute he can afford a new elite upgrade for free. That basically for free, because he hasn't got any workers working on it, right? It's just a passive income. BC actually has to commit villages. So even though BC has an economical lead in the villager department, it's not big enough to overcome this overbearing difference. And it means that if he wants to start moving ahead, he needs to find areas he can shut down. Now, he could attempt what PuppyPaw just done. He could try to sneak a dock into the back lakes and get rid of the fishing eco from PuppyPaw's side. The problem is actually PuppyPaw has been stationing a scout on the northern lake this entire time, expecting that attempt.
Ooh, nice loop around here from Beastyqt. This could do some damage, and let's keep in mind that Beastyqt is now up by 12 villagers. Obviously, it's not going to offset the relic gold income, but if you can slow down PuppyPaw over here, you can drag this game out, and we know that Beastyqt, he loves to drag game out. Loves to drag games out. That's what I wanted to say.
He drags them out so long it breaks the commentators. That's how he works, folks. BC absolutely like thrives in that. We highlight at the start when you ask me like who wins, how do they win? If this goes hyper late, but like admittedly, PuppyPaw has not made it easy for BC. BC, these small raids won't be enough on their lonesome. It's just such a overbearing factor that Tithe Barns will eventually be coming through as well that's going to insulate PuppyPaw's eco further. And the fact that these elite knights are already in the field for PuppyPaw means that BC cannot even hang around to trade out for villages.
And the thing is that, like, once these knights are cleaned up and once those walls are for PuppyPaw, sure thing he's down by, let's say, 16 villagers right now, but catching up is not really a big deal because it's all about that race to the 100, 120, 140 villagers with HRE. But once both of you are there, suddenly PuppyPaw is going to be sitting on 4 relics, 2 in the Ragnitz Cathedral, and of course Tithe Barns, and that is going to give him a massive advantage. So, especially when you can escalate the villager numbers this fast, that those relics are even more important because you simply can't leverage a villager advantage for a substantial amount of time here for Beastyqt.
One thing I really like that BC done is he actually set up the defensive walls while he went on the aggressive, so he made sure there was no risk of a leak in. You can see that PuppyPaw was now playing for that, arrives, discovers the bad news. This is where the game starts to kind of slow down a lot because there isn't just a quick rush-in point anymore. You know, those games where you're like, why did you not build walls? That isn't happening here. Although one thing that I would be wary of if I'm a PuppyPaw fan is he hasn't walled the northern cliff, so that could be an exposure point.
And as Core is showing us, this castle could be a little bit more aggressive. I guess PuppyPaw just wants to play this one safe, wants to ensure that this castle is going up. But there could be a follow-up castle to deny both of those gold mines. Here come the Landsknechte though. You gotta respect those boys because if there is one thing that they are really good at, it's killing villagers that are building buildings.
They'll slice you up like salami. Right now, they're going to get carved down as they clash with each other. The problem he's got is that PuppyPaw was already wise to this. Look at this beautiful composition. Because he can afford it, a heavy gold tithe required here. Knights and Landsknecht, a bulky front line, and a heavy damage-dealing glass cannon. And the reason this is such a brilliant composition is in this matchup specifically, nobody's going to be building range. So no crossbows to counter the Knights, and nothing that can easily pick off the squishy Landsknecht.
And I love what PuppyPaw is doing behind this one. This is something that Beastyqt loves to do so commonly as well. Wait a minute, where did these knights get in? Quite a lot of villages getting picked off here for PuppyPaw. But PuppyPaw is moving on towards that large gold vein to the north. He's essentially just stripping the map barren of resources while he still can. Beastyqt is inside his base, and PuppyPaw is leveraging that by taking all the neutral resources, so whenever or if Beastyqt breaks out, he's gonna have nothing left for him. There is actually an opening right next to that shoreline, as we could see on PuppyPaw's base. It's going to be annoying because he's now down by 30 bills, but probably not a devastating amount of losses.
That was the thing I was highlighting earlier. Like he walled well, but he forgot about that northern pass that he knows these simple like troops go through before. So it's not like this should surprise PuppyPaw. Troops were going through there earlier on that northern lake. I think the eastern one is safe on the wood line. It could be that that's also a deceitful area. We see that BC had a similar situation with his wood line to the south, but he did put a small palisade wall there so that you couldn't just sneak through. But clearly, off the back of just 1 or 2 nights in, they should make it obvious to PuppyPaw that he's got a leak and he needs to
Yeah, I
fix
mean,
it.
it's pretty straightforward, right? Oh,
Wait, there's a leak.
never
What?
mind. Never mind.
Oh my god! What kind of walling is that? Get a refund! I wouldn't pay the men that worked on that. The builders don't deserve to get paid. What the hell?
Oh, that is an interesting wall for sure out there. That's going to make life a little bit more difficult here for PuppyPaw. Luckily, it's only horsemen. So, cleaning this up is going to be a little bit easier as compared to cleaning up knights, but yeah.
Luckily,
he can
it's
plug
only
this in.
horsemen. You had to stay, didn't you? You couldn't just stay quiet. Now the knights are in as well. Oh.
It's possible this was a bug of some sort, but it's a little difficult to tell because you could plug the hole in manually, right? Like, we could see him just plugging that hole in. So it's not like it was impossible to wall there. It's just something happened when he made those walls. He might have...
Yeah, but
Did he delete the
There's still a gap to
pylons?
the north there. I'm pretty sure BC can still go to the north there, even with this gap now being filled. So, like, it's actually worse than it seems because PuppyPaw now probably thinks that, like, the leak has been sealed. You know, the ship isn't taking on water anymore. Little does he know, there's a little hole at the back that could turn into a flood point if BC notices it.
Yeah, and as Chad is saying, it is likely the case of you deleting the pillars at the end of the walls, which is something that you commonly do when you build walls. And I guess he deleted the pillar, so they just left that little hole out there. Seems very similar to instances where you indeed delete the pillars and you can just leave a hole like that. Anyways, we do have a 1 keep up for both players out there. Beasty actually secured the middle of this stealth forest in there. That's going to give him a nice vantage point. And now we're seeing some culverins hitting the field here for PuppyPaw. Culverins we have seen in Beasty's hands that are actually very good general purpose artillery units, not just an anti-siege specialist.
Especially against Langsneck, so they can easily just one-hit. The wraparound's going to be a big fat fail, and he's doing it because he's already a bombard in the front line. Remember, PuppyPaw did get a stabilization point with the keep outside his opponent's base. Could start turning this into a proxy base, getting some forward line siege quickly. Looks like that's going to expose the keep in the center, clash in the stealth forest, maybe not to the benefit of PuppyPaw, but feels confident about the mass that he has here. The Langsneck flooding through. Look at the difference in the count right now. Beasty, he stopped building the Langsneck, and PuppyPaw doubled down on them, up at 21 in the field.
And that's a lot, especially if you consider the fact that Beasty was expecting cavalry. Beasty is full on the spearman department, just horseman spearman. He was expecting elite knights over here. He has seen the elite upgrade, but this is where we go back to the point where you said, with the gold income that you have, you can afford all those elite upgrades, and against the spearman, you have the perfect response. That is the Landsknecht, and that could be a slaughter.
And you see he's baiting him. He's like, go on, look, it's a knight. Turn around, stab him. You get bonus stat. You don't want to fight? Come on. I swear, there's not a like crazy man with a 2-handed sword behind me. Attack me. Hit me.
And that's gonna be ugly, and Beasty needs to make a tech switch like instantly. Horsemen could be a thing to consider, but I mean, Landsknecht in large numbers, these guys are devastating. You need like a tremendous amount of firepower, mostly mangonels to deal with them. Like horsemen mangonels could be a great response here, but then again, you still need to deal with the culverins out there, and you see spearmen will just not cut it. All of them getting slaughtered by the Landsknecht, and this is concerning for Beasty because his base is still breached. So if there is some siege coming in here from PuppyPaw, he could easily wipe out Beasty in the next few minutes.
One crazy thing to think about with the interaction between these compositions as well is that spearmen, yeah, they can like do a lot of damage to knights, they can engage them, and they do get that brace, which is amazing. The brace is, it initially stuns the target, but then roots them. And the issue with that is that when you stun, it technically stuns the spearmen as well. They can't move either. And that gives an opportunity for the Langsnecht to start wrapping around in that moment to gain position. It means you're just static, and you're actually allowing these AoE units to get in range of your full, like, phalanx formation. That's actually quite detrimental to trying to hold these fights. And it's why BC needs that full transition. Like, spearmen aren't really going to cut it. I don't want to dare say crossbowmen because we never see it from HRE, but like crossbowmen would probably solve a decent amount of his issues right now with maybe man-at-arms or Langsnecht, something like that on the front line that's going to maybe last a little bit longer against these meat cleavers. Right now, the gold. The gold is starting to dry up real fast, and I'm concerned because right now, PuppyPaw, like, he can afford so much. Like, the Knights, the Siege, the Langsneck. You can really see the difference, and it's not just the difference of these relics anymore. It's the difference in how they're utilizing the gold veins on the map.
Yeah, that's exactly. I was muted while I was talking about this one as well.
There it is. I had a
why
feeling.
are you
like,
not reacting? But yeah, indeed. Like, right now the problem with the tech switches for Beasty is that he is, to a certain extent, lacking gold. Like, right now he's got like 800, now he's down to 200. But his gold supply is way worse as compared to PuppyPaw's one. Still, though, Beasty is putting up quite a lot of aggression here from the south. And you see, PuppyPaw doesn't seem to be able to stop these castle drops right now.
Wall issues again. Wall issues again. Wall issues again.
Over chop, ladies and gents. Spearman now flooding in. Is it good that the Spearman flood in, though? Is it actually a good thing?
With how long it took. With how long it took, they're definitely not going to be leaving again, I can tell you that. Maybe in a body bag, but that's about as good as it gets. A few Langsneck to cut them down. The only good news, at least they didn't get caught at the choke point, where one Langsneck could have probably hit 8 targets.
Well, Beasty gets 2 towers up here, though, and now he's denying some gold mines as well from PuppyPaw. Beasty is not going to give up on this easily, and honestly, he's securing more and more map control. Finally could be losing that castle in the middle, but at least he could trade off the bombards, maybe. Maybe. No. Actually?
They actually killed it. They actually killed it.
Oh, villagers being pulled. Run!
He's getting it.
He's gonna get it.
Just about gets it. You know, something I'm kind of surprised Beasty. I was about to say something I'm surprised Beasty didn't try to do is like you can do the blueprint spam to like daisy chain these keeps in, and it's not against the rules. You know, you maybe feel a little bit dirty, you need to shower after you do it, but it's fully within like the allowed rules here. You can. So if those don't know, if you drop blueprints and don't complete the buildings, you get access to emergency repairs on the buildings that it links into. So you can use that to daisy chain in both these keeps on the front line from your base.
I think it's just the walking distance. Like, by the time you get those blueprints down even, you might as well reach the keep. He wasn't expecting the bombards to come in, though, and he's going to end up losing that keep. And now the one on the right side is also getting cleaned up. This is buying precious time for a tech switch for Beasty. But also, he is losing key keeps over here, and he is yet to do any damage to the army of PuppyPaw.
And PuppyPaw is just taking his time. He's not even just overdoing the siege QT, which we see some players doing when they're up against. He's like, oh, you do siege, I do even more siege. And it's like, it's very risky because you tend to strain your eco. Instead, he's like, okay, you've got a few keeps. I only need like 2 or 3 bombards max. I know you're pushing horsemen. If I dive hard into siege, I'm going to get punished for it. So instead, I'm only going to pay for what I absolutely need to stop what you're trying to do.
Beasty is going to secure himself a gold vein on the north, though, trying to secure the south as well. Wait a minute. Sure enough, you have 4 relics for PuppyPaw, but 2 large gold mines over here could buy a lot of time for Beasty. And you see, he's got 151 villagers on the battlefield.
The keep. He doesn't see it. He doesn't see it. He hasn't got the scouting vision on this right now, so the keep's going to go up, and that means he won't be able to block the gold on the north side. South side, brilliant, by the way. He gets a TC there, so now he has the emergency repairs.
Yep.
PuppyPaw cannot easily breach, and there you go. There's the disastrous reveal for him. The only good news is that the villagers are running away from safety and still waiting armed of PuppyPaw's cavalry.
Okay, look at that. This could even be Carrick's. Where is the Regnitz Cathedral at? Wait a minute. Where is the Regnitz Cathedral?
Regnitz is too far in. It's too far in.
Is it?
Carrick's have baby range. To be honest, they're not that impressive.
Okay, it's too far away.
You're living a dream right there. You need the Flying Dutchman from Age of Empires 1.
I mean, I was like, what can I do? I'm a Carrick enthusiast, so I gotta believe. That's what's left to me, right? Like, with Warring Islands not being played, Carrick enthusiasts like myself, you just gotta believe that there is a chance, but looks like there is none.
Somehow this was more delusional than when you were talking about Carricks on Frisian Marshes.
No, I said Carrick versus Gallias on Frisian Marshes. That indeed felt a little delusional, but I was just asking your prediction on the over and under on that.
That's a rigged question, a loaded question. I've never taken that. All right, so bombards in the meantime, we're actually getting through this. The emergency repairs isn't coming through necessarily fast enough, but it looks like the spears are going to clean up the cavalry. And PuppyPaw, he's dividing his attention a little bit too much here. Beasty is scratching his head, going, "Wait, where are the fishy boys?" He went on the wrong lake.
He was thinking that PuppyPaw is fishing on that lake, but little did he know that he was wrong. Villagers, that's a lot of dead bodies.
That should be as well, because he blocked him off from running straight to the keep. The Hulk's right now like, is this border bait? No, it's not border bait, so we might as well just be deleted. Bye.
Oh man, I mean, this opens up your options to go for transport ship plays, and that could be big. Like, he's also denying one big stone and one small gold mine. And on the left side, looks like actually, villagers survived. So the Landsnectar didn't do that big of a work over there. Dive Barn's just now coming in here for PuppyPaw. That's pretty late on that one, especially with 4 relics in his possession for like 30, well, not 30 minutes, but like 20 minutes now at max.
Yeah, it's a hefty amount of gold to spend if you're pushing this premium type. If you think about what he's been pushing, like he stopped with the Knights as much, but still the Langsnare, still the Siege. So maybe he was just like feeling a little bit strained in that department, wanted to have that gold in reserve. Does mean he's going to be able to continue to scale better into the late game, unless Beastyqt can continue to control the south side of the center map and keep PuppyPaw from establishing his eco in the north again. But
I'm getting concerned for Puppy. I'm getting concerned for Puppy. His population is not looking good, and the thing is that his resource bank isn't shiny either. So at one point, if these players start fighting, Beastyqt can outlast his opponent with resources. Like, this is the point where Beastyqt could potentially even afford to go for the exact same unit composition, because his eco is looking a lot shinier, and he's gonna have the chance to break into the opponent's base either with transports or just by blasting through the walls. And it's getting more and more concerning for PuppyPaw, especially with Beastyqt actually being unsuccessful, dropping that castle in the middle. A lot of dead bodies underneath that keep. Look at that!
He's getting too split. He's getting way too split. This is the problem for PuppyPaw right now. He's so busy trying to put out all the fires at once, he's not bringing the hose to each one individually. He's never actually putting them out. He's bringing a watering can and saying, yep, that'll deal with that. That'll douse the fire. It never works. And this is something you know Beasty will do. He's phenomenal at this. This is where he starts to come online at this stage of the game. He doesn't directly take a fight with you. He spreads out, he sets 5 different fires and says, which one are you going to choose? Right now, PuppyPaw is not committing to one. Even.
Oh,
he's spreading his forces too thin, and he's getting punished for it.
And look at that. This is a clear indication to Beastyqt that PuppyPaw is struggling with access to wood. Just kamikaze sending 20 villagers out to just do lumberjacking over there, all of them being slain, and the population of PuppyPaw is collapsing really fast. Beast is still at 183. Emergency repairs popped on that key, but even that is not going to save it. PuppyPaw dropping to 120 population. Everything is falling apart for him. An HRE player possessing 4 relics.
It's CGQE time, Lidakor. Look at it. Look how quickly it boomed up. 2 bombards, 4 culverins, and a march forward of cheap units. And the wood is important for both sides because Beasty has gone for the discount build. It's the dollar shop make of HRE. Spearmen and horsemen en masse, and PuppyPaw can't counter this with Langsnectar alone. He can't afford the push. The development time of this is too slow. If he's relying on Knights, that's one of the longest units to produce that he actually has access to. And it's not quick enough to keep up with the horsemen that once again flood in. PuppyPaw does at least have this wood line on the eastern side, but after that he's in trouble. And also keep in mind, if he uses that eastern wood line, it's next to the shoreline. And what did Beasty have on that lake?
A Hawk. And oh, he's moving out for a gold mine out there.
Oh, no.
Hawk is going to start firing away at those villagers. Knights actually might engage the Hawk over here. Not something that you see every day. Indeed, here come the torches. Hawk looks like he's a little unresponsive to this one. Hello, mister.
I think Beasty forgot about this because remember, he deleted the other one before. I don't think he actually realized he still had another Hulk here. Remember, he's playing as blue, and this is water.
Oh. Looks like the Hawk is gonna get taken down here. Trades off 1 knight over here. But the problems are larger than this for PuppyPaw because he's now getting pushed on every single angle and he's just losing map control. You see, he's unable to access wood, and this is where you actually consider a Karak. I know I'm a Karak enthusiast, but think about it now. Denying those resources with a Karak would be really useful over here for Beasty.
Yeah, you can just go for Hulk as well. You really want that Karak. I don't think you're going to get it, but definitely another Hulk could be good here. And Beasty, look, he's trying to short wall this because he wants to play around the sacred site now. He wants to strong arm the north side of this map as he starts to crawl up. Remember, Beasty started in the south here, but now we're here. Now he's taking control. And by doing so, you block out exactly what PuppyPaw needs to stay alive. The flood point is open again. Once more, into the breach goes Beasty. And once more, PuppyPaw's eco count is going to be going down.
And behind this one, Beasty is stacking up resources. He's sitting on 6,000 gold. He's not running out of juice anytime soon. It's not like he's got one big push and then it's over for him. In fact, he's just now getting started, and this is why he is one of the best, if not the best, late-game player of Age of Empires 4. He's doing a masterful job outlasting his opponent in every single long game he plays. This is Beasty territory, ladies and gentlemen. 30 minutes plus, and PuppyPaw is now in big, big trouble.
Especially with that dive. That dive is so deceitful. It looks good because you snipe some siege, but this is why referring to him as CGQT is to his benefit. Every time we say it, a pro thinks, if I take out the siege, I take out Beasty. If I take out the siege, I take out... It's not true, and you're seeing exactly why. Like, that dive-in was not worth it in terms of trades. He lost too many units in a situation where it's more dire for him because what's the limiting factor of him? Wood. He throws away horsemen there. He's struggling to keep up the demand of this war, and you can see it when you look at his wood income per minute. Barely 200 wood a minute at 35 minutes in as the HRE.
And the thing is that he's also strained on other resources as well. Sure thing, he's got the Ragna's Cathedral with the 4 relics, but that's it. Whereas for Beasty can send 50 villagers to just mine gold, because we still have some large gold veins to work with. And you see, Beasty actually sent a detachment of villagers to start chopping down that forest, opening up the base of PuppyPaw, and just depleting the resources. This is what Beasty loves to do so commonly. Strip the map barren of resources while you can. Send out the villagers, take those resources while you can. And by the time that PuppyPaw could break out of his base, it's gonna be too late. There's gonna be nothing left for him.
Yeah, it's definitely more about the wood than opening up a new assault point into PuppyPaw's base. Because if we're being completely honest about it, there's plenty of entrance points into PuppyPaw's base at this stage. I don't think you even need an extra one. It's like having a building with 4 different fire exits and saying we need 2 more. It's like, there's only 10 inhabitants inside. Do we really need that many exits?
Oh, another Doubt Castle coming up over here. And PuppyPaw is down to 69 villagers, which normally is nice, but in his scenario is not. He can replenish the villagers. The problem is that it's going to take time that he doesn't have right now. And there is the artillery coming in here. I mean, Beasty at this pace, he's aging up to Age of Empires 3 with all the artillery out there.
I mean, the funny part as well about the way that he's done this, he's up against PuppyPaw, puppies, wolves, but the way the BC fights is like a pack of wolves. You know, it's just so many different wolves surrounding you in your base. And the crazy part is PuppyPaw played more like a beast. He played like a lion. If you think about the way that he played this game, he always took his entire army to one location and tried to do something. And early on that worked, but it doesn't work when you reach this stage in the game with the way that BC plays. His playstyle is all about spreading out, so you need to spread out as well. And the fact that he was just 2 or 3 minutes delayed in doing so is exactly why BC now, at 37 minutes in the game, is close to having 2/3, actually 3/4 of the map under his control. And the wolves, we've got our siege, we've got our wolves, we've got Beasty, folks.
Oh man, I mean, he probably feels how, he's just sad about how bad it went for PuppyPaw to have that hole open on his wall before. So he was like, okay, let me help you, my friend. I'm gonna help you with these walls over here. I'm just gonna wall you in now.
Yeah, you don't seem to understand what you need, so let me show you what you need. These magnificent things, these stone walls, they would be great for you, PuppyPaw. I wouldn't be able to keep raiding your eco. Not that there's really anything left to raid. And Corinth? Hello? The best part is BC built these walls, and now they're the bane of his siege existence. Luckily, there's barely any troops, and PuppyPaw, if this push doesn't kill the siege, I wouldn't blame him for maybe waving the white flag, because I don't know how you get any sort of progress into the map if you don't stop Beasty right now.
And the thing is that you got town centers all across the map for Beasty, so not just back at home now. All these houses in there mean that every single building in the midfield probably has emergency repairs available. So it's not just about defeating the army, it's the fact that you have to break out of this one, and it's impossible. PuppyPaw is down to 90 population and taps out. Beasty takes game number 1 against all odds, against 4 relics of HRE. Magnificent late game once again from Beasty here.
PuppyPaw, it was a great start to this game. Great way to play greedy as the HRE, but in the end, BC's late game comes shining through. And the final nail in the coffin was when PuppyPaw rode those knights into his base and looked around and went, where are all the villagers at? With it, and that's when he realized they're just spread out on the map. He can't go for this strong arm maneuver. I think throughout all this game, that's what it has been. It's been the one punch man versus Naruto speed of light attacks. And BC put on his best Naruto, all right? He's in final form, final episode of the anime, and that's exactly why he's able to take the game. One punch man just couldn't get a hit in.
Yeah, honestly, if Core shows us the villager graph, that's going to tell you the whole story. Beasty, as you said, he just was relentless with those raids. And I'm sure that Core is going to show that to us in a second. Indeed, there it goes. Look at that. slow decline. It was a consistent slow decline. This just tells you how intense Beast's raids were. It wasn't like one big fight. It wasn't like one big raid. It was just never-ending raids, wave after wave, slowly grinding down the economy of PuppyPaw, ultimately pushing him down to 65 eco and just leaving him no map control.
Yeah, and Beastyqt opening the series with a win, now increasing PuppyPaw's losses. What did I say he was at? This would be his 4th loss, and I think he's 4 losses, 32 wins. And folks, this is what we got deprived of in week number 1. PuppyPaw wasn't able to attend his best of 3 against Beasty.